Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Australian Cricket Report, where we bring you all the news and views on everything Australian cricket. Joining me in the studio today is Mr. Tim Pad Thai Cork, one of the inaugural members of the all-conquering Machos Men indoor cricket team and one of the all-time nicest guys of world cricket. Tim, thanks for joining us, mate.
Listen, it's a pleasure to be here, Vic.
Mate, you're back by popular demand. I have had a few calls on the internet to get you involved, so you're here. Let's do this, mate. The Ashes touring squad was named by Chairman of Selectors John Inverarity. Let me just go through the team for you. First of all, Michael Clarke captain, Brad Haddin vice captain. We'll get to him in a second. Jackson Bird, Ed Cowan, James Faulkner, Ryan Harris, Phil Hughes, Usman Khawaja, Nathan Lyon, Pattinson, Chris Rogers, Peter Siddle, Mitchell Starc, Matt Wade, David Warner and Shane Watson. Starting from the top, Tim, Brad Haddin at vice captain. What's going on there?
Listen, I don't know where this has come from. He's been in the wilderness for 14 months, and Chairman of Selectors has come out blatantly when he dropped him saying he'll never play for Australia again, and welcome back to the side, and here's the vice captaincy. It's a bit of a surprise.
I mean, the Australian selectors, when they dropped Brad Haddin, it was for a younger, up-and-coming wicketkeeper in Matthew Wade. Now, let's be honest, Matt Wade hasn't performed very well, but what's the direction from the top when at one point they're saying no, too old, and now moving forward, they're going back to the old guard? When you've got someone like, for instance, Tim Payne or Chris Hartley just banging down the door. Chris Hartley's made so many runs, taking so many wickets again this season. What does someone like that have to do to have a chance at getting a run?
I think that's just the culture in the team at the moment. Chris Hartley couldn't do much more wrong, I don't think, to be not selected to the Australian team. But it baffles me why Haddin comes in as keeper, let alone vice captain, coming into 10 Ashes games. I don't see him being there for the second round of games.
Absolutely not.
It just bluntens the confidence of Paul Wade, which I wouldn't be a massive fan of him, but I'm all about, if you're going to give him a go, make sure that you stick by him.
Absolutely.
Don't chuck him out like they have been doing.
I couldn't agree more. Do you think Brad Haddin is in our top 6 batsmen? Let's be honest about this. Top 6, disregard his wicket keeping. Brad Haddin, in my opinion, doesn't make the top 6 of any Australian team.
I reckon you'd be better off sending Mitch Johnson over there as a batsman.
You're probably about right there. Okay, now look, let's move on from Brad Haddin, because there are some positives to his selection. He does, as we've previously spoken on this program, he does bring a wealth of experience and vice captaincy knowledge. But let's move down the order a little bit more. Ryan Harris is included in the fast bowling quintet. I think that's a great move, mate.
Oh, I'm all for it. He's shown that he can still do it at state level, and I think we missed him in India. He's rock solid, and I think the likes of Siddle and Patterson really work well with him.
Absolutely.
Because he just holds that end up.
The fast bowlers, that have been picked in the squad. Let's have a look at them. Ryan Harris, Jackson Bird, James Pattinson, Peter Siddle, Mitchell Starc. That's a pretty deadly bowling attack if you look at it in English conditions anyway.
Oh, it suits the conditions. I think the admission of Mitchell Johnson and Paul Cummins, I don't think we'll miss him very much over there. Siddle has proven against the English team that he is devastating, and I'm sure he'll be more than over there at the moment.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no real weakness in the bowling attack. Nathan Lyon, and even James Faulkner have both proved themselves when given a chance. Now, Nathan Lyon didn't have the greatest Indian tour, but he took 9 wickets in the last test. There is something there for the young South Australian groundskeeper. Or should I say, New South Welshman now. I believe he's just recently signed for New South Wales.
Ah, I didn't know that.
I believe he signed with the Speed Blitz Blues. Surprise, surprise, getting another New South Welshman in the Aussie team. But again...
Seems to be pretty standard.
Yeah, that's about right. Now, mate, since the announcement of the Ashes squad, some news has come to mind concerning Ryan Harris. Now, let me read from the Cricket Australian statement. Australian fast bowler Ryan Harris was on Thursday ruled out of cricket for at least 6 to 8 weeks, putting a cloud over his fitness for the Ashes tour just 24 hours after being handed an international recall. Now, he's damaged his Achilles, apparently. Now, as I said, this has just come to mind. Let's talk hypotheticals. Harris is ruled out. Who do we bring back in? Do we bring in the left armour in Johnson, or does someone like Ben Hilfenhaus get a run?
I think Hilfie has to have a run. I don't think he's done anything wrong him leading Tasmanian Tigers to the premiership this year, but I think he suits the conditions more than anyone in the ranks.
Absolutely. Now, look, I want to focus a bit more attention on the batting lineup. So, as it stands now, from what I can tell of the touring squad, the top six is going to look a little something like this. You're going to have Eddie Cowan and David Warner opening up. Phil Hughes will slot in at 3, you would think, to start off with Clark coming in at 4, and then that leaves 5 and 6. Now, does Chris Rogers slot straight into 5 or 6, or are we going to see Shane Watson in there at 6 at 5, and potentially even Matt Wade at 6? Or is Brad Haddin going to bat up the order at 5? What do you think is Australia's best lineup from the squad that we've been given?
Well, I'm happy with Warner and Cowan. I think on their day they complement each other like no one other. Pretty standard having Phil Hughes at 3, Clark. I think Watson will slot into that number 5, as he's been named in the team as a batting all-rounder. I think Usman has to be in the team. The poor bloke's been in and out over the last 2 years, and he's never really been given 2 games in a row to really prove himself.
Absolutely, and you got to remember, at the same time, when he was taken out of the Queensland setup in November of last year, he was leading the Shield run scoring tally, and he hasn't played another game since, and that was maybe 6 months ago now. And you got to give the guy a chance. What's the point of putting him on the plane if he doesn't have a go? It's
tragic to see him playing so well in state cricket and moved up into the Australian squad and not given a go. It's devastating to see, but I think he'll suit the conditions. Batting at 6, I think Haddin has to bat 7. He is a good leader. But I think in most situations, if you've got him batting there at 7, he's very handy to bat around with the Australian batting all-rounders, or bowling all-rounders, I think.
Absolutely. It does definitely give us a lot more depth when you have someone of Brad Haddin's stature coming in at 7. And you got to remember, Mitch Starc made 99 in India. By no means is Peter Siddle any slouch with the bat, and let's be honest. Pattinson can also bat. I think where it'll let us down will be the number 11, which probably isn't too bad. Ryan Harris isn't probably the world's best batsman. Can hold the willow, but let's be honest. People like Nathan Lyon, he's just going to block it out, isn't he?
Yeah. He's very Gillespie-esque.
Absolutely. Now, mate, last question. Chris Rogers, good decision, poor decision to bring him in?
I think it's a calculated poor decision. I don't think he'll play. I think he's just a backup because he's over there at the moment, and he is going well in the county cricket comp at the moment. So
absolutely,
I think he's just there because he's in the conditions. He knows what the ball's doing. Yeah, he'll only play if someone gets done by a sniper, I think.
Now, one other player that will be there at the time that also knows the conditions, I would argue, better, and has also made just a few international runs, is Ricky Thomas-Ponting. He'll also be in England during the Ashes tour.
I do believe he's come out and said he will not play. But
he did.
I can't see that he won't if he gets given the opportunity.
You can't tell me that someone who's made that many runs for his country, if he gets a call from the Australian captain in Michael Clark and he says, "Ricky, we need you, mate," he'll come out at 3. There's no way that he won't come in. If Phil Hughes makes no runs in the first 2 tests, does Ricky Ponting get a tap on the shoulder?
I think he will, definitely.
That just sends shivers down my spine. Ponting 100 at Lords. I love it. Well, mate, look, thank you for joining me today. I do appreciate your time. I think we've covered the Ashes squad as best we can in the short time that we have together. I'm sure we'll talk again. But, mate, thank you so much for your time today. I do appreciate it.
Very much appreciated, Victor. Thanks, mate.
No worries at all. And that just about wraps everything up for this week's episode of the Australian Cricket Report. Tune in next week for all the news and views on everything Australian cricket. Until then, just remember, just give it a chance.